get excited about buying a new vehicle and they go online and they see all these colors, but then they go to the dealership and they're like, no, sir, we don't have that one.
Yeah.
That one's sold out or whatever. It's going to take 2 months to get this color if you want to wait, like we're going to have to order or whatever. So, and then if you want like, que the interior, if you want it to be this color, man, you have to wait. So it's better just to go and see what they have.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cris Ortiz, welcome to my podcast, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
I do appreciate your time, man.
It's good to be here.
So, all right, let's see how we can start this conversation, man.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong. You spent a total of 29 years with the Brownsville Police Department.
Yeah, a little over 29.
Yeah, and out of that, how many patrol, how many investigations?
I did 20 years as an investigator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other 9 years, was that patrol?
Patrol.
Or just patrol?
Yeah.
Man, 9 years of patrol. I'm switching every what was it back then? Every month, every 2 months?
Well, actually, my career started pretty cool because, you joined PD just like any agency.
What year was this?
89, September 89.
1989.
Yeah. You weren't born yet?
No, I was born. I was 8 years old, man. I was born in 81.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So anyway, it started off pretty good because on that 1 year probation, which all agencies have that, I'm assuming all agencies do.
Yeah.
And but I'll just start off like this.
Yeah.
It seems like in the beginning of my life, there's a lot of trials and hard things that I went through and stuff. And then all of a sudden, everything just became real easy and everything was just falling in my lap. I mean, everything I had to work, but it seemed like every time I turned around, something good was happening, So
Are you talking about the transition, like from high school into started work, like your life now as a professional?
No. I'm talking about when I was young, real young.
Okay.
Middle school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that I was going through and some hard times and tough trials. There were tough trials and I had a good life. I don't want anybody to think that my parents were the best.
Yeah.
But me personally,
Yeah.
And so after, I guess when I was about like 20, 21, I was about 20, maybe even 19. So those tough years were the early years. And after that, everything that I started doing, I don't want to say turned to gold, but it pretty much did.
Yeah.
My life
Everything was lighting up.
Everything was like happening. I was a musician. My mom said there's a lot of musicians. Yeah. And so I started playing when I was 15 years old,
Yeah.
And the clubs and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And then so when I was 19, I got in this band that we had a lot of success. We recorded a lot of albums.
I think I've seen a couple of CDs or videos on YouTube from back in the day, man.
They're out there.
That Gilbert show.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because there's a lot of musicians that are like 100 times better than me,
Yeah.
But I got in there and I had success, And a song that I wrote, Song of the Year. So like everything that I did, kind of like
Song of the Year.
Yeah, one of my songs turned one Song of the Year. But anyway, So when I joined PD, that year of probation, like right off the bat, like in my first after a week, maybe 2 weeks, that stuff like big cases were falling in my lap.
Yeah,
big cases, and so
as a patrol officer,
I was still on the training phase, FTO, and. So I hadn't finished my year probation, and the chief, I get a dispatcher, hey, the chief wants to see in his office. Like, oh, man, I haven't finished probation, man. Am I going to get fired or what? So I go up there, and he goes, hey, I've been watching you. You're doing really good, this and that. Or by my first name, he knew me,
Yeah.
And I want to send you to CID as a detective. And I go, what? I haven't even finished probation yet. He goes, what?
I was going to say, like, what? During your FTO?
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, God's always been like blessing me like that, So I told him, I said, I haven't even finished probation. He goes, what? To him, he thought I'd been there longer.
Yeah.
I said, no, I haven't even finished probation yet. And he goes, well, we kept on talking about it. And then I said, well, what is it that you would want me to do? I didn't know anything about the different divisions and all this stuff. And he told me, case prep.
This is your first job as a cop also, right? Okay.
Well, I worked at the county jail for like a year and 3 months.
Okay.
Right before that. And, but anyway, he told me he wanted me to work case prep. I said, what is that? He goes, well, the detectives are going to, work up the cases. They organize the case files and you fix up whatever needs fixing. How am I supposed to know when he's fixing? The detectives that were there at that time, they'd been there for years and they're old guys, and or if something is missing from the case file, how am I supposed to know that?
Yeah.
And then you submit it for indictment. Like, and to me, I'm getting set up for a fall because I'm not going to be able to succeed in that if I don't know anything about what the case files need, you know?
Yeah.
So I said, no, anyway, I'm still on probation. He goes, okay. So I go back and I work, I guess, another 4 more months. It was 1 year and 3 months when he called me back to I'd been a police officer for 1 year and 3 months.
Okay.
Calls me back to his office. He goes, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you're going to CID. I said, okay. So me and I mentioned his name, Sam Lucio.
Yeah.
We were in a burglary detail. It was 2 guys.
Yeah.
And in patrol, I used to work the downtown area, the west side, but mostly downtown. Sammy, or Sam Lucio, he was one of my partners.
Okay.
So I consider him, hey, that guy's my partner, you know.
Since the beginning.
Yeah. And so you know how it is in patrol. There's hot calls, you know, there's you go through those situations and you bond with the guy, you know, he's your brother, you know. And not just him, all the other guys too, right? But like he was.
No, but there's always 1 or 2 that you depend on them, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially like if there's something serious going on, you're like, dude, I wish que llegue Sammy ahorita ya, and I'll get into it. You know what I mean?
And he had been there a year before me, so he had a little bit more experience with more knowledge and stuff. So we did this burglary detail, and I'm not lying, that first year, out of 365 days that year, we had 300 arrests. Burglaries, just burglaries. So, I mean, that's the way it was. And my whole career was like that. So,
I'm laughing a little bit because man, I did CID work, right, at the sheriff's office. That doesn't happen, man. Like, how do you guys get so many freaking cases closed with arrests?
Yeah. And you know, and I'm going to give this credit to Sammy because Sammy's like, let's go right now. I'm real hyper to begin with. But this guy, what we would do is, and it'd be unfair to some victims, but we get to work in the morning, see all the cases. Let's say there was 5, 6 burglars, or maybe just 2 or 3. Yeah. But the one that looked really good, like there was evidence, just witnesses. Yeah. This is what I'm working today. Yeah. And we'd call in witnesses or come pick them up. But by lunchtime, we had a warrant. And then serving the warrants, picking up evidence, finishing some. I'm serious. Yeah. Some of those cases, by the end of the day, that file was already submitted for indictment. Yeah. It was like that. But the reason about 300 arrests is that not every burglary was just one burglar. Sometimes there was a group of 5 or 6 guys. Got it. So that's how the numbers got so high.
But still, man, that's a lot of arrests. It is. That's a lot of arrests. I mean, people sometimes don't understand, man, but you get up to 5 cases a day of offenses as an investigator. Yeah. And then, you know, like a year, it accumulates to like, you know, 300, 400 cases that you're in charge of. Yeah. And then there's more CID investigators that also have the same amount of caseload. Yeah. And it's just impossible to solve all of them.
Yeah. You can't catch up. And me, personally, I mean, there's a lot of detectives like, hey, you know what? There's no leads. There's nothing. Man, I'm going to close it out. I'm going to inactivate it. And I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do it. There were some cases like, man, I know I can. There's a couple more things I can do. And I'd hold on to that case. And because I held on to it, when the next day I came in and I had 3 more, and then 1 or 2 of those, and I hold on. So they build up.
I'm thinking maybe what helped also with you guys is that you were 1 year and 3 months in. Mm-hmm. So maybe that energy that everybody has at the beginning, it hadn't died out. Yeah. Because, you know, you spend 2 years, 3 years in patrol, and you can quickly just, you know, go down because you're like, man, the reality of the job, you're like, dude, what is this, man? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I guess you were still in that.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, even right now, you know, I'm 62 and I'm still hyper. Like I'm hyper. Like
that helps.
Real hyper. You know, Sammy's a hard charger too. And all the I mean, it seemed, and you know, all the different all the groups of patrol, the morning shift, the afternoon shift, the night shift. Yeah, there's a lot of good cops, and they're all over the place. You know, like right now you said, man, if I'm going to go into something really hot, that guy's one of the guys I want to go with. Yeah, there was guys like that. Not all of them are. I mean, you know, it's just like
it is. In every job, a reality. Yeah,
and every job there's those guys that guys that are just, and I don't want to say crazy, but man, they're just they don't care. They're gonna go and they're gonna go, and so there's guys like that. But I always thought, and I guess the other guys thought too about their shifts, you know. But I thought our shift was pretty good. Yeah, our shift was real good. So.
Like you're saying, you got lucky, man. You got put in the right place at the right time and everything.
Yeah. My primary training officer was Sammy's older brother, Manny. That's one of those guys that, man, quiet, the guy hardly talks, but man, That's one of those guys you want with you, you know.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a tough
yeah.
guy, you know. But anyway, so yeah, going back to the thing about I still had the energy and the enthusiasm and all that stuff. I tell my wife now, you see these shows on TV, like NYPD or whatever, the reality shows, not the fake ones. But there's detectives that are old and they're working cases. There's no way I could do it because I know when I worked the case.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to be young. You need to have stamina. You didn't go 3 or 4 days without stopping.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would want to do that right now. There's too much. The cases are important. Everybody, the victims are important. And if you can't give them that 100%, just don't do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. I couldn't do it right now.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, you're right, man. I mean, people deserve the same amount of attention to every single case they file, right?
Yeah.
Pero como te digo, reality is different, man. You know, like they don't know that we have all this bunch of other cases that we're also trying to work. And sometimes, like you're saying, we have to pick the ones that have like witnesses, maybe video. You know what I mean? Like the you got to start with the ones that you can secure a warrant, like you're saying, and then go from there. And then you have to you just prioritize your workload.
Yeah, the ones that you can solve, and there's no sense in working on a case that's going to take you a month to work, and this one you can do it in a day.
Yeah,
leave it. Hey, get this one and get rid of it, and and then work on these while you can, every chance you can. And but yeah, that was. I don't want to say it was a problem because it was a good thing, but I just couldn't let go of those cases. So I ended up having a bunch of cases.
So a year and 3 months in, and after that, you stayed in CID for your whole career?
Yeah. Well, no. And then the last 8 years.
Or burglaries, which was part of with Brownsville PD. That was SIU, right?
No, burglaries was part of, then? Yeah, it was part of CID. In the meantime, I did the burglaries, and then after a couple of years, Sammy got moved on. He went to, I don't know if he went to property, because there's property crimes against persons, and properties, all thefts and all that stuff. And then persons crimes, the robberies, the shootings, all that kind of stuff.
Murder, sexual assaults, and all that. Yeah.
So I stayed there, and I'm not sure if somebody else came and worked with me for a little bit, but time was going on. And then, so what they had me doing was, the detectives would, let's say they have a big case, like I say, a murder. Yeah. Aggravated robbery, whatever. So they'd get a warrant, and then sometimes they'd get a team the supervisor, hey, let's get a team, let's get a crew. Yeah. Sometimes even involve SWAT or whatever. We're going to hit this guy, we're going to go pick him up or whatever. But sometimes, a lot of times, which was my job, the supervisor said, hey, Chris, I got this warrant here from this case. Go look for him. So I was hunting fugitives. Yeah. The guys were wanted. Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years, and that was fun. Yeah. That's all I would do. At that time, I wasn't even getting cases where I would have to investigate. But my investigation was, hey, where's this guy?
Got it.
Where he's
serving warrants.
Yeah. 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 So, and that finding where the person is, that's investigative, but it's not solving the crime. It's, hey, where's this guy? Is he here? Is he in Florida? Or where is he? And then use your resources.
Pretty much what the U.S. Marshals does. Yeah. That's it.
So I was the guy from Brownsville PD. But before that,
and you did that for how long?
Well, yeah, before that, I had been, it wasn't a burglary detail anymore. It kind of dissolved. So I was working property crimes. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I don't know how it happened, but, there was a bank robbery. And so I started working it. Boom, 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 boom. The case was solved. I solved the bank robbery. Right? I was a fairly young detective, and case solved, recovered money, this and that, or whatever. At that point, the FBI gets involved because that's their jurisdiction, the bank robberies. They file those cases federally, right? So I met some of the FBI agents, and then some time passed. We had another bank robbery. I worked that one. In total, I worked 7 bank robberies. Damn. And they were solved with arrests. I'm talking about people in different parts of the country, Well, during that time, I met the FBI agents that were here locally, so they were friends of mine. Mm-hmm. So, and then I was doing the fugitive stuff. I think I did the fugitive for about maybe 2 years. Okay. And on my 7th year as a detective, all that stuff was going on, the entry to CID, the burglary, the property crimes, the bank robberies, and then the fugitive stuff. On my 7th year, the chief calls me into his office. He goes, hey, we're starting a task force at the FBI. It's a violent crimes fugitive task force. What do you mean? He goes, yeah, just violent crime, the fugitives, this task force is going to just be focusing on arresting those guys, like the marshals. Yeah. And in the task force, it was going to be based out of FBI. So there was Well, so anyway, he goes, "Are you interested?" Yeah. So he sent me over there. So when I went over there, automatically that to be on a task force, they would at Brownsville PD, you would be under the SIU umbrella.
Got it.
Which is the narcotics and all that stuff. So they switched me on paper to SIU, but I went straight to the FBI. And the FBI, in the task force, there was like 3 FBI agents, Brownsville PD, Harlingen PD, Cameron County, 1 Texas Ranger, a special agent from Customs, Border Patrol. I think that was it.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, dude, I mean, like that first week, if you think about the country where we are in the center of the United States, right? If anybody's in the East Coast, yeah, they can go to Canada. But if they're going to come, if they say they want to go to Mexico, they're probably going to come to the Browns. You know, and you know that happens all the time.
Especially during those years, man. Yeah. Like the early 90s, that was the wild, wild west, man, down here.
Yeah, it was crazy. So at that time, man, you know what? I had to have. I was going to say, I don't remember if I even had a cell phone at that time, but I guess I did. For sure I did.
One of the big ones?
Yeah, for sure. The radios that FBI had that we're using, they were like humongous, you know, like military.
Old military stuff. Yeah.
And so that, I think it was like that first week, there was this guy that had shot a NYPD officer. And their investigators were tracking him, and they say, "Hey, man, we have information that he might be here." It was outside city in the county, and so I just went and I started driving around, and then I had pictures of the guy, started talking to people, and man, I see the guy in the driveway of a house. Now I don't have,
near the border by the bridge, or how did that happen?
It was Oklahoma Road. It's out in the county.
Also, so do you have más o menos area where to look for this guy? Or?
Yeah, because they were tracking him. Yeah, and they said, we have information that he has relatives somewhere at his house or whatever, And so I didn't have communication with the FBI. I did have a phone because I called our supervisor for the FBI. I said, "Hey, bro, this guy's here.
Yeah.
And who are you with?" Because I'm by myself. He goes, "Man." And the thing about the FBI, man, their red tape is like red tape. Yeah. Isn't that like Brownsville PD or county? Hey, you can see a guy, you can go if you want.
Yeah. No, I know.
And over there, you have to submit, and then by the time you get the green light, that's a long time. So, and that was
the guy's gone.
Yeah, that was one of the benefits in our task force that we had. The Harlingen PD, me, and the county. Yeah, we had different resources. The Texas Rangers, they had different resources. The custom, so we would utilize all that. So instead of FBI doing their warrants, they'd say, "Hey, Brownsville PD, just go." Yeah. So I called the supervisor from SIU and sent some couple of guys, and we go. Yeah. But that night, and it was nighttime. I said, "Man," so I got a hold of the sheriff's office. They sent some deputies, and I could look. This is who I am. This is what's going on. The guys are. It was just 3, me and 2 guys. Yeah. This guy killed the NYPD cop, right? Like 2 days before that. So we probably should have waited for more guys, but that's just the way it happened, Yeah. And now it's dark. So we go over there and boom, 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 we take down the guy there. So I'm telling you, right off the bat, a big time fugitive. Yeah. So to answer your question about where I was, so the first 7 years I was on CID, and then I went to that task force. I was there for 5 years.
Oh, okay. I see.
And that was
so only about a year and 3 months of patrol.
Yeah.
Man, I guess you're a little lucky.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And when I was with the FBI, I was doing stuff that, and not to put anybody down. Hey, they're all good workers. They all work, however they can. Do as much as they can. But I was lucky in it. But it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Like they'd call me because it was supposed to be a violent crime fugitive task force, and it was. But remember when? I don't know if you were here, with the 2 Border Patrol agents got shot there by San Benito. Yeah. Okay. So that morning, actually, we're going to go qualify. I had to qualify with the FBI standards, right? Yeah. For the guns, and we're going to meet at the Tourist Bureau in Harlingen. And that's the other thing. Our jurisdiction wasn't just here; it was
everywhere. Yeah. And
there was a joint task force in McAllen, so they would work the northwest of our jurisdiction. We worked the northeast. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going early in the morning, driving to the Tourist Bureau in Harlingen, and I see units. They're flying southbound, lights flashing in the grills.
Lights and sirens.
What the heck's going on? And they were unmarked cars, trucks, and SUV, not like Suburban and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, what's going on? What's going on? And so I call our dispatcher because I was still a Brownsville PD cop.
Yeah.
And I could see him there like, well, they hadn't passed on Chollejo there because they're going to San Benito.
Yeah.
But I called our dispatcher and they said, yeah, there's something's going on. And over here, this area, this guy went and shot his, I think his wife and his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And so a deputy saw him and started chasing him. And then,
hold on, is it the same case where wasn't the son of one of the chief of police from
a detective? He was a detective.
Yeah, a detective, and he had taken like a rifle from the evidence room.
Yeah,
that's what he used. Yeah. Okay.
The sergeant, or he was a sergeant. I forgot his name, but he was in charge of the property. So, including the guns and the guns that are seized and. For an investigation, if they're not going to be kept for ballistics or, any kind of DNA or anything like that, they're destroyed. They're not auctioned off or anything.
Yeah.
And so,
but it takes a while to destroy.
Yeah. And so this guy had his evidence room full of that, but he was taking some of them home.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the guy, but I'm sure he's a sergeant.
Different times, man, back in the 90s.
So his son got a hold of one of the weapons.
Yeah.
And that weapon that he used, I don't think that's the one he used for. I'm not sure if he used that one for his wife or girlfriend or whatever she was and her mom. But what happened was that he went back to the house, and a deputy was chasing him. But he
a deputy constable, I think.
I
can't remember.
It was a deputy,
a sheriff deputy. Yeah.
I want to say it was. I want to say it was Pete Vela who ended up with Brownsville PD, became a detective.
Okay.
Good guy.
Yeah.
He's still working. I think it was, for sure he was there, but I'm not sure if he was that initial guy that was chasing him. So the guy gets to his house, runs through the front door. When the law enforcement, whoever it was, he gets to the door and he's like, you don't want to just go into a house. You don't know who's in there, get ambushed, right?
Yeah.
So I think he backed up. That's the way I remember it.
Yeah.
So he's yelling for backup and guys are going over there. Border Patrol, there was a caliche road in front of the house. It was in the middle of cornfields. That house was really weird. There's like you go down a caliche road, and then there was a driveway, and all around, like right across the street, was a cornfield.
Yeah,
corn or grain. I don't remember, but tall. So the guy goes into his house, comes out the back door. Border Patrol agents are parked facing the house, but they're taking cover behind the unit. They're cover.
Yeah.
This guy comes behind him and shoots him from behind.
Yeah.
So all that stuff was happening, and I get to the tourist bureau and I tell, our supervisor, Freddie, I say, hey, bro, there's some stuff going on over here that we need to go. They're, Border Patrol agents and all this stuff. They're federal officers,
Yeah.
Oh, we got to call our supervisor. I'm going to just take off.
Yeah.
You got to wait for your supervisor, but I'm going to go. And I didn't. He goes, wait. So, because I was part of their task force, right?
Yeah, let's get an approval.
Yeah, so we did get approval. We all go over there. The reason I bring that up is because our task force originally started as a violent crime fugitive task force. But that day, now there's 2 agents that are dead there.
Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff had already happened. We didn't get there when it was hot. It had already happened.
Yeah.
But now there's a big crime scene. And there is like DPS. There's hundreds of officers there.
And just to explain a little bit, for people that are listening, is that any federal agent that gets into a shooting or anything, somehow it ends up being investigated by the FBI because the FBI is the agency that then is going to file the charges for the offenses against federal agents, right? So,
they should be the ones. Sometimes, the other, let's say.
Yeah,
I don't think.
But especially back then, the FBI was the agency that
to me, FBI, it was going to be their case.
It was going to be their case.
Yeah, and so during those 7 years when I was at Brownsville, of course, we have homicides every year. Yeah. And if it's your first weekend as a detective and there's a homicide, of course, you're not going to be the lead investigator, but you're going to get assigned, hey, go and do this, go and do that, go and do this. And so you're seeing how things are done.
Yeah.
So by that time, I had worked on a lot of homicides. They weren't my cases, but I had worked on a lot.
Up to that year?
Yeah, up to my seventh year as a detective.
And up to that incident that you're telling us about?
Okay. Yeah, I had already worked. Like in 1 year, we had 23 homicides. So I had been exposed to homicide investigations,
Yeah.
So the supervisor and the agents, they knew me, but because of the bank robberies that I had worked and they helped me or whatever. But the supervisor for the FBI, not the supervisor for our task force, that's the actual supervisor for that office, the Brownsville office.
Got it. The one that you never see.
Yeah.
That one that is always just...
No, actually, this guy's pretty good.
Okay.
I remember, I think it was Ruben Carvajal, I think was his name. Good guy.
Yeah.
So he pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, Chris, you've worked in homicide before?" And I go, "Yeah." And I'm frustrated because like nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about all the different crime scenes that you go to. Just say, you know, the different cases where there's dead bodies.
Yeah.
I had never seen anybody in law enforcement dead. And they were in uniform.
Yeah.
You know, that one, it freaked me out. I was like, and nobody was doing anything. Everybody was like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? There was a lot of officers there. There was a SWAT team, Brownsville SWAT team that showed up, Cameron County SWAT team, I think DPS. I mean, because we didn't know when the guy, now I'm going to just go by off the top of my head the way I remember, but the guy ambushed him and somebody shot him. I don't know who. And they actually, I think they flew that guy away in a helicopter. And but they didn't know if there was more guys in the field. I'm telling you, the field across the street, you couldn't see. It was really high. I don't know.
Especially it's because I think in those years, like also people were not used to, especially law enforcement, right? Of taking that kind of a rate of fire. I think it was like either an AK or an AR.
I don't remember.
Some rifle that had way more capacity than what the cops were using back in the day. You know what I mean? At least patrol officers.
Yeah.
The guy had more firepower.
I remember when I was in patrol, we had shotguns, but it's not the same thing. That's close distance, you know, and it's not, you know, as much ammunition, the rapidness of it, and it's not the same thing. But so what was frustrating me, and I'm pretty sure everybody that was there, all these guys that were used to the SWAT guys from Brownsville, DPS, Cameron County, and nobody was giving orders like, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that." Everybody was saying, "We got to clear that field," but nobody was doing it. Nobody was taking charge.
Yeah.
And of course, the Border Patrol supervisor, he goes, "Hey, those are my guys. I want to investigate them." You know, so Ruben Carvajal, I think that was his name, Ruben Carvajal. I think his last name was Carvajal for sure. He said, "Hey, Chris, you worked on homicides before?" And I go, "Yeah." And I'm frustrated because nobody's doing anything. And he goes, "Man, what do you think we should do?" And I said, "That's all I needed to hear. We got to do this. Boom, 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 boom." And
cut me loose.
Yeah, we took over. And so we ended up working on the case, and a lot of cool things happened. But we were able to get, and it was just cleaning up, you know, statements from witnesses and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Making sure the scene was processed correctly, and you know, DPS probably took care of that. But I say all that to say that after that day, the supervisor said, "Hey, Chris, I'm going to start giving you regular FBI cases."
Really? Man, that's interesting, man.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, like, man, God always like took care of me like that. Like everything everywhere I went, like things were happening in a positive way, you know?
Yeah.
So
you mentioned, man, seeing those officers there laying down in uniform. Was that tough? I've seen, you know, after that, I want to say when I came back from the FBI task force, came back to CID as a detective, and automatically at that time, now I was strictly persons. By that time, I had all kinds of experience. You know, when I was with the FBI, they would call me, "Hey, go to the airport. They're going to pick me up in a helicopter and fly me here, fly me there, go work a case." Wow.
It was a lot of fun. You know, did a lot of cool things. So when I came back, I was strictly in persons. During that time, me and Sam are partners again. Now, our crimes against persons unit was like 5 guys. It would fluctuate, but on the average, it was five guys. And there was a group of us it was the core, and then the other guys would come, they'd move, you know, like that in different divisions. They'd go to SIU, retire, whatever, you know. Yeah. And so I remember me and Sam were talking, and I don't know how many years I'd been in law enforcement at that time, but we were talking how we're just sitting there at our desk, you know, it was a downtime or whatever, and we're talking about the average person sees. Well, how many people the average person sees, you know, dead in their lifetime, especially if they're young. You know, they're going to see their grandparents. They're 9 times out of 10 that they don't even, like, I don't remember my grandparents. Yeah. I remember my grandmothers, 2 of my grandmothers, but both my grandfathers, they died and I was a year old, but I don't remember them. I don't remember seeing them. My grandmothers, I do. So out of the 4 grandparents, you're going to see at least 2, maybe 1.
Yeah.
Even if you see 4, that's 4. And then, your parents. Hopefully, if it goes, that's 6. An aunt, an uncle, that's 7, 8. A friend, a buddy from high school, And then you see those things when you're driving the street, a car accident. You're going to see about 10 people. Yeah. Now, the older you get, you're going to start seeing more relatives passing away. Yeah. And I'm talking about all of those were usually are on the average, at the funeral home, unless your mom or your dad passes away at home, in their sleep. Well, you see them there, an aunt or an uncle, whatever. But we were seeing A to Z, shootings, stabbings, hangings, natural causes. I mean, accidents, drowning, whatever, any kind of way you could die, we were seeing it. And then, not only that, the different stages of decomposition. Mm-hmm. Some had just happened. Some had been there for like a long time. Yeah. And there's stories that, man, but I'm saying that to say that, well, let me finish that. So we were talking about that, and I just said, man, and we didn't count one by one, but just on the average that you see, like that when we work 23 cases, and so I don't remember how many years I had been on at that time, but we came to the conclusion that at that time we had probably seen over 600 dead bodies. And I was saying, man, that's not normal. But I say all that to say that in the beginning when I saw those agents in uniform, but you could still see the blood, trickling down the Caliche Road. And why weren't they moving them? I mean, they were dead, and I guess you got to, secure them, whatever. But even now, like afterwards, when I think about it, if there'd be a shooting, EMS would get there and you treat them. So when you see a body, you see stuff on them where the medical stuff, and these guys didn't have nothing. They just covered them with a sheet. Yeah. And that was it. That was weird. That was, at that point, that was the hardest thing. Like, it hit me because, hey, I'm a cop. These guys are cops, They're Border Patrol agents, but they're cops, And to see them the way they were there, and they weren't, for whoever's going to hear this, and maybe one of the relatives, I'm not saying that they were mistreated or they didn't do the best they could for them. They, unfortunately, they were deceased. Yeah. And some supervisors said, hey, don't contaminate the scene. That's a decision that they made, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I don't want anybody to think like, man, they should have done that. No, they were gone. Yeah, they were gone. But to answer your question, to see a law enforcement person in uniform with blood coming out of them just laying there, that was tough. Weird. Yeah. I'd never seen that.
I guess it's one of those, and I tell people, man, like on my experience, that there's some images that you can't get rid of it. Yeah. They get recorded in your brain forever. Yeah, man.
I can see them right now. As you're saying that, I'm thinking of some of the cases, and I can see them.
And I was going to ask you, I mean, up to this point, you said you had already been working kind of like murders for up to how many years? Like 7 years, you said, something like that? Or no? Up to that point, you had already worked murders before.
Up to the FBI?
The guys that got shot.
Yeah, I had been involved in homicide investigations, but since I wasn't assigned to person, I was never the lead investigator, where it was my case. But they would tell me, hey, do this, do that, take statements, and go here, pick this guy up, and or go and set surveillance here. So, well, I was doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So what I was going to ask you is, like, you had seen dead bodies already.
Oh yeah, even in patrol.
And like it becomes normal, I guess. Because that's what I experienced. Mm-hmm. Like you were seeing so many like cases of with dead bodies that it just becomes normal. But then there's a couple of cases that you're like, man, this is different. For me, it was like the first time that I worked a case with a baby, man. Yeah. And then going through the autopsy and all that. So I guess in a way, and I never seen a uniform officer that been killed. I haven't seen his body like that. So I guess it was a big impact for you up to that point, because you seen like this, like for all the cases that you worked with. Yeah. This is the first time you actually see one of your brothers, in uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking about the kids, there was a few cases where I worked up before that, babies that, stuff happened to them where they were sick or whatever, even those kind of deaths. They die in the hospital or they're sick or whatever. I'm not even going to the abuse yet. I'm just talking about they died. So you as a those cases still have to get investigated.
Yes, it's like the sudden infant.
To make sure that there was no foul play, right? So that's included in the 600. So the kids, I saw a lot of kids, and like in major traffic accidents as a patrol officer, kids would get ejected through the window, and you see them laying on the street. So the baby cases, those were tough, but before that, back in the day, we didn't have a crime scene unit. And now, and even back then when I was still working, we had a crime scene unit. Those guys are great.
They'll take care of it.
Man, they meticulous, super patient, real calm. Like I couldn't do it. I'm too hyper.
Yeah.
Like I would never be able to do that. That's that personality. Manny Lucio was one of those guys.
Yeah.
There was three that worked during the time that I was there. Manny Lucio, Julio Briones, and Juan Hernandez, Big John.
Yeah.
There was two other guys that worked, but those three guys were like
Big John.
Everybody knows Big John. But those guys, they'd go in there and they'd work for a case, a crime scene. If it took 3 days, they would work 3 days. But I'm talking about like, how can you just go and just look that's a special kind of person that does that.
It
but
is.
back in the day, we didn't have a crime scene. So, hey, Mario, Cris, we have a murder over there. Go over there. Or they find a dead body. We go over there. That's your baby. If there's 20 casings, that's your crime scene. And not only that, securing the body. I remember there's one guy, it was a hit from the cartel, and they left him in the backseat of a car. It was in the middle of summer, hot. And he was in the backseat of a car, windows rolled up, at a parking lot of a grocery store. During the day, people were shopping. They never noticed. At nighttime, the car was still there. Nobody noticed it. About a week had passed. We found that it had been 5 days after the investigation.
Yeah.
This guy had been in the car for 5 days cooking. It was in the middle of summer, hot. Well, me and another detective, there's no crime scene. So we opened the door, and man, that smell.
That smell.
That smell. And then, we're pulling him out, and his skin stayed on the seat.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how graphic you want me to get or how graphic
nah, man,
I can get here.
This is open. This is like, because I want people to hear like reality, man. Like we're not trying to make like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a young listener that wants to pursue a career in law enforcement, that this is what it is, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so, like that guy, we were taking him out, and his skin and he was super bloated, and his skin just stayed on the seat, and that's another thing. Like, I grew up living the life that I lived. When did I ever think I was going to see that? I didn't even ever think I was going to be a cop when I was growing up. I had no intention to be in law enforcement.
No, I tell people that, man, to be honest, like when I got out of law enforcement, and I only did it for 13 years, right? And out of those 13, it was 9 years doing investigations. But towards the end of my career, man, like doing the autopsies and processing like a dead body, it was different now, man. Like I was, because I was that guy also trying to go 110 miles per hour, right? Yeah. Trying to do everything and everything. But towards the end, man, like I was like, man, that's somebody's, father. That's somebody's mother. That's somebody's grandma. Yeah. Like, you're saying how we see sometimes up to hundreds of dead bodies in a year or whatever, or throughout your career, even way more than that. It's not normal, man.
No. And you're talking about, you mentioned something that reminded me of that we're not used to. You don't grow up being trained. Yeah, you go to the academy, but you're not trained or to be exposed to that kind of stuff. And sometimes when you're talking to the victims, family, you're trying to be, consoling them, and it's really easy to say the wrong thing. And that happened to me early as a detective. This guy with a young girl had hung herself in her bedroom closet. And so I don't know who called it in. Somebody, a family member got there, and they said the girl, she was young, 15, 14 years old. And she's dead. I mean, EMS goes there, they take her down, but she's gone, And so I'm outside doing whatever I'm doing, and this guy drives in hot, and he's
a family member,
is ended up being the father.
Oh, the father.
And so he's, of course,
hard, man.
He's freaking out. He's like, man, screaming and being aggressive. And I go, hey, calm down. And how many of my daughters? Okay, and then so he breaks down, and I'll never forget. I told him, it's going to be okay. He looked at me like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
Like he actually told me that.
Yeah.
Are you fucking stupid? That's my daughter, man. And I was like, holy shit, talk about saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And, but you learn from that, death notifications, part of the job, that was the hard thing to do also because those people are going to freak out.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get calls from other jurisdictions, other agencies. Hey, this person, he's in San Antonio, whatever.
Yeah.
His parents live at this house. Can you go and do death notification? Okay. So you see that there's an old lady or whatever. Hey, tell this, but hey, send an ambulance and just have them wait down the street just in case. I'll never forget one of our guys, he had been a patrol for a while. He was way younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they moved him to CID and he was with me. I'm going to go and do a death notification. And the way it is, to me, I saw a lot of other guys give death notification, but for me, it's like when you get bad news from the doctor. The doctors don't sugarcoat it and say, hey, this is what you have and these are your options. And so that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
This is your son, this is your daughter, whatever. I'm sorry I have to tell you this, but, he was found this way or whatever and he passed away.
Yeah.
And then they just fall where they fall, where they freak out, whatever happens.
Yeah.
But, so then as far as
I kind of went through the same that you're saying. Like, I learned not to bullshit around.
Yeah.
Like, just go straight to the point, man.
Yeah.
And the way that I would do it is I just look at a family member. If it was a parent, it was a brother. I'm like, man, your brother or son is bad news.
Yeah.
And they'll see me and he's dead. Because at the beginning you try to make it better for them, and then you say something like that, like it's gonna be okay, right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to take a little bit of their suffering, man.
Yeah.
You try to make it better, but there's nothing you can say.
No. And
so I learned that the hard way too, man. Just tell them.
Yeah.
Don't bullshit around, man. Just let them know.
Yeah.
I mean, they already know something's going on because they have a cop in their doorway, right?
Yeah.
So, man, but it's one of those hard things, man, that I never enjoyed doing that, man. Like, death notification is hard, man. So,
so get into the kids. And I'd never been to a baby autopsy. That's one thing in my whole career. I think I did basically everything, even some narcotic, auto theft, a lot of different things. And as a detective with CID, that's one thing I never did. And I went to several autopsies, like a bunch of them, but I never went to a child autopsy. And even now when I'm thinking about it, compared to the autopsies of adults that I saw, what they do to the body, and you go there and you're calloused. You're like, okay, you're documenting, taking pictures, right, taking notes or whatever. And you see my season, hey doc, what about over here, this and that? Oh, let me cut it open, and so you're not freaking out at that time, but. And like putting myself there for an adult and seeing right now as we're speaking a baby, I think that'll be weird.
Man,
I've never seen a baby.
I did a lot of
autopsies.
babies.
Autopsies?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because when I started, I don't want to say his name, but supervisor, right? He was like, "Oh, you're the Marine, right? Go." Yeah. Because nobody want to do those, So like, you go. You're the big shot Marine. You can scare. You've been in combat, like. But I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this, man. I have little kids too, but somebody has to do it. Yeah. So since I was like the brand new guy, so I started doing them, and then I got used to it. Like, okay, if it's a baby, they're gonna send me. If it's a little girl, a little kid. Yeah. So I did it, man, and it was tough, man. Yeah. And I remember one of them. It wasn't my first one. I was already, done a couple of babies, but there was one autopsy with a baby where the assistant for the forensic examiner was brand new because the one that was there for years, I think, was taking a break because he had heart surgery. So this young girl was there, and she had gone to college and all this, was there to do it. And I could tell, man, that it was getting to her. Yeah, that she was, like, that it was really hard for her to do an autopsy on a baby.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and even the adults, I mean, like, and you get callous, so I guess I have to remind myself as I'm sitting here that somebody's going to see this, that, they might say, hey, man, that was my kid or whatever. So, but the callousness of all these cases, that we talk about as law enforcement officers, they're extreme. Some of them were extreme. Like, when you get bloated or whatever, and the first little punctures, they can explode.
Yeah,
and that happened a couple of times. Like, what the heck? You're not supposed to see that.
Yeah,
So
the change of color on the skin, with someone that drowns.
Oh yeah.
How they turned like green after a couple of days. Let me tell you the story
real quick. And talking about babies, now you mentioned drowning, and talking about seeing like A to Z.
Okay.
Every time that we get a person that drowned in the river, people that would cross from Mexico to over here to live, get a better life.
We have a lot of those.
So those, I don't know what they would call them, floaters. Hey, respond to a floater. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a 10 code name for it, but I don't remember. But those people that drown, and then they resurface when the gas, their bodies fill up with gas, they resurface or floating. So then they get stuck in the brush or be floating down river or whatever. So we get a lot of those. And by the one time, and this is a weird one too. You think about how a person struggles when they're drowning. They're fighting, yes. They're struggling, trying to get up, blah, 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 and then finally they die. Well, this man was floating downstream or downriver on his back. He was already bloated. And he was holding his baby. The baby was face down, and he was floating downriver. And we were watching him because he was in the middle of the river. We had to wait for the fire department to get their boat, and they'd go further downstream and to intercept it, unless he would float towards the bank, and then they would get stuck in the brush or whatever. But this guy was just floating downriver in the very middle, and he was on his back. He wasn't bobbing up and down. He was just floating straight up on his back, and he's holding his baby, and the baby's dead too. He's face down. There's a turtle eating on the back of the baby's head, and I'm watching this, and I go, wow. That turtle thing was a weird thing, but the thing that really impressed me was that this man, when he was fighting this drowning thing, fighting for his life and probably trying to help his kid, push him up or whatever, and at the end of the whole thing, he never
had to surrender.
But when he did, he
to
never
the moment,
he took care of his kid to the death. That was a big impression on me. It's like, wow, that man, he took care of his kid till they died.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's a tough one, man. Yeah. And then because you have nature, you have animals that people sometimes don't know. They think that bodies look like in the movies, like with makeup and everything, but it's not, like it's tough.
And the rivers, but they use soft tissue, the nose, the lips, the ears. And
that's the other thing, man. Water erodes everything. Yeah. Like, how like the hair disappears, the skin and stuff. Man, it's tough, man. Yeah. And that's what I was gonna tell you too, Chris, is that all this is not normal, man. And so towards the end of my career, I was going to tell you, I felt that it was like if your brain is a hard drive that has the capacity for so much death. Mm-hmm. And I felt at that time that I was like,
you're a fool.
That it was in full, man. Mm-hmm. That man maybe it's time for you to I was fine. I could keep working, but I'm just saying, man, just like, man, I don't want to see more dead bodies, man.
Yeah,
it's up full. I need to refresh the hard drive, make some room for it if I'm going to keep doing this, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever felt the same, man. You did it for a lot longer than me, and you probably work a lot more cases with or more murders. But man, at that point in my career, after 13 years, I was like, man, I think I need to.
You're done. Yeah. And everybody would
refresh.
Say, and that's good that to refresh. But when you're done, like people, when I was getting close to my years, and when I said, man, I can actually start thinking about when am I going to retire, And the older guys say, no, you're going to know. You're going to know. You are going that day, that one morning, you're going to say, hey, I'm done. And that's the way everybody is.
That's good advice,
man. You're full. You can't take any more, and you're done. But if you're able to refresh, empty out some of that information, and you actually can't, but refresh a little bit and get a new start.
Remember with the old computers, you had to kind of like defragment the hard drive, like the old Windows. you do a hard drive and you defrag the high drive, then you have more capacity. You know, you get rid of all the unnecessary stuff. I mean, I needed something like that, man. At that point, that's what I felt.
Yeah. And actually, after all my career as a detective, and I going back to patrol, and I didn't think I was going to work that much longer. I said, I'm pretty close. So I'll just go back. But I went in like a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back to patrol, I went in like a rookie again. I felt, man, this is cool. This is fun. I was again making all kinds of noise.
Yeah.
The other guys did always, even when I was a rookie, hey, Chris, slow down. Slow down. I said, just slow down if you have to, but I'm going.
Yeah.
And I felt like a rookie again. So I guess that it was good to get away from that.
Yeah.
You can't do that with quality. You can't do it forever. And some guys stay there, but I guarantee you, even if they deny it, their quality is not the same.
Yeah.
The quality of work can't be with all the different things that are affecting
you. You never you cannot go 100 miles per hour all the time for 30 years, man. Yeah. It's not. I need to ask you about the Jonah Allen Rubio case, just because, man, I know you're one of the investigators involved with that case, right? Actually, they're at the scene, and directly involved with processing the crime scene, right? Yeah. So if you can tell us a little bit of what.
Yeah. So we had worked. There had been a homicide in the Southwest area that day.
The same day.
Around lunchtime at a used car lot. Guy goes, and they had a little small office, the guy that worked there, the salesman, or I don't know if it was the owner or whatever. And so a guy goes in there to rob him, and he ends up shooting him. So we get called in, patrol goes over, and they call CID. We go over there, and we start doing our thing. We start working the homicide. A to Z, everything we're doing, trying to find out what happened, and we did. By 3 or 4, we already had a warrant. Case was solved. The guy was not here. He fled to Mexico, Matamoros, But the case was solved. So we were tying up all the loose ends, taking statements, getting evidence and this and that from different locations. So Julio Briones, who I mentioned a while ago, he's still working, actually. That guy's been there forever. Yeah. When I got to PD, he had already been there. I'm going to take a guess, but 5 years? I don't know. He'd been there it seemed like he'd been there a long time when I joined PD. And then, but like I said, I got moved to CID, and he was in patrol. So when he got moved to CID, he was actually with me. I wasn't training him, but he was riding along with me. Yeah. And so that day we were finishing up that first murder. And so about 6:30 or so, me and Julio are taking the last witness home. We're at the station here, 6th and Jackson. And this guy, the witness, lived on International by the expressway, right behind the Whataburger.
Okay. So
we're going downstairs, and our sergeant, he goes, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I go, "No, we're taking this guy home. We're done. We're going to take this guy home." He goes, "Hurry up and come back." Because, we had a long day. All our whole crew was working. And not just a person, a lot of other detectives. He goes, "I ordered you guys some food, so hurry up and come back so you can eat. While you do your reports, you can eat some food."
Yeah.
I said, "We'll be right back." So take off from the PD. It takes us, less than 10 minutes to get there. It's close by. We're dropping the thing out. Okay, see you later. We're coming back. We're headed back to the PD when Officer Sonny Cervantes, comes on the radio, and I'm scanning. I wouldn't just be on my channel. I'm scanning the whole city, because what good does it do to have a radio if you can't hear the shooting on the east side just because you're on the west side, So Sonny comes on the radio, and he's frantic. Quarters, and I don't know what I got. A dead baby, and something about, I don't know exactly how you phrased it, but headless, decapitated, or something along those lines. But his tone was very excited. He was, the adrenaline was pumping in him. You could hear it.
Yeah.
So I said, "Man, we got to get there," and we're coming that way because he was at the location of that scene. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Was real close to the PD, so we're coming back to the PD.
Yeah.
So we're it's in our direction of travel. So when I get there, he's there. There's no other officers. So again, granted, everybody that I was working heard the same thing I heard.
Yeah.
So everybody was also making their way over there. But when I got there, it was just Sonny, and he has John Allen Rubio and Angela Camacho, the parents, his unit's parked on the street right next to the apartment complex. There's a sidewalk. It's a building, a sidewalk, and the street. He's parked right there by the apartments. And he's standing on the street with the couple, John. And
so they're there at the scene.
Yeah, this had just happened.
Okay.
This had just happened. So I come up this way, and I didn't park right. I mean, I parked like, 2 cars away across the street. So I get off, and I'm walking to him, and he's talking to them, and he's like, I don't know what's going on, bro. I don't know. Yeah, man, some dead bodies, dead babies or something like that. And so my first thing was like, let's get this guy in the car in case he takes off running, because he was a young guy, young kid. And
John Allen Rubio.
Yeah, and thin guy, if he takes off running, if he really wants to run hard, it's going to be hard for an older guy to catch him, And by that time, another officer had gotten there, so I think it was Mike Adriel. He, hey, get this guy in the car. So get him in the unit, and I'm talking to Sonny, and I say, hey, what's going on? He goes, okay, I was going this way, or I got flagged down by this guy, his brother and his girlfriend, or whatever she is, and they said that there's a dead baby in there. I said, well, let's go in. So the John's brother and sister, actually that part I don't remember, but I mean, they were there. They're the ones that fled.
Family members, yeah.
So we go into the apartment, and the main entry room was like small, the living room, really small. Like if a couch fit, that was like the whole wall of the living room.
Yeah.
And then across was the TV, and then there was a little hallway that went down to the back part of the apartment. But the whole apartment was like
dirty,
filthy. Filthy. There was junk piled all over the place, and not just stuff out of place. I'm talking dirty, like mud on the floor, or like when dust collects and it gets wet, it gets like muddy.
Yeah.
The whole house seemed like it was just filthy. And Sonny's walking in first. Now there's nobody in the apartment. It's just us that we're going in because we're going to see what's going on. Sonny's first. I'm behind him. Julio Briones is behind me. We're going down the little hallway, and the way Sonny was acting, I didn't know he had already been in there, because he's acting like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And we don't know if there's, who killed these babies. We don't know. We don't know if there's somebody in there with a gun or a machete or whatever, or anything. We don't know anything. We're still going in there, our guns are drawn, and we're walking in law enforcement style, So Sonny's in front of me, and the hallway was real narrow. So when we're going down the hallway, there's a doorway on our right side of the hallway. That was the doorway to the only bedroom of the apartment. Mm-hmm. So when Sonny gets to the doorway, like let's say we're here, and this is the door right here. When he's coming, he goes like this, and he goes, "Oh my God!" And he grabs he jumps back like he was
the
startled.
Reaction,
like he was startled. So I grab him, and I said, hold on. To me, I thought that was the first time I'd seen the baby. Later, I found out he had already seen it, and I talked to him afterwards, like recently actually. I say, yeah, I never. It's amazing that after all these years, we never sat down and talk about being involved in this case. And even Julio Briones, I talked to him also recently. I'm talking about 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. Why didn't we ever talk about it? We worked together for so many years. You just move on, But it would have been good for us to talk about it, emotionally, the mental aspect of this whole thing. So Sonny jumps back, and I grab him, and then I look, and there's a little baby there's a bed right on the other side of the wall. The bed's right there. So I tell Sonny, okay, and Julio, hey, back out the way you came in. It's, basic law enforcement, crime scene 101. Mm-hmm. If you go into a crime scene and there's nothing else to do, just walk out the same way you came in. Don't go and contaminate over there, over here. Just the same way you walked in, walk out like that. So I tell those guys to walk out. And so now it's just me in it, because I wanted to see, like, what the hell did this guy see, So I looked, and there's a baby on the bed, like right there. And he's on his back. His feet are facing that way, and his knees are bent up like a doll. The legs, he can bend them, and his knees were bent up. It was rigor mortis, actually, but it looked like a doll. The knees were, and he didn't have a head. So the thing that went through my mind was that the texture of this doll, I thought it was a doll. You've seen those dolls that are hard, shiny plastic? And then there's dolls that have like a rubbery texture. Yeah. I thought it was that, because it wasn't a hard, shiny doll. Mm-hmm. So I said, maybe it's that doll that has the kind of doll that has a rubbery texture. So, or maybe it was just me. I didn't want to believe it was a human being.
Exactly. Denial.
So I touched the baby, and I said, oh my God, it's it's a real baby. And his head was missing, but there was no blood anywhere. There was nothing. And just, I mean, when I looked in this area, I mean, I'm looking at where the head's supposed to be. And the cuts were all jagged, but there was no blood. There was no blood on the bed. There was no blood leaking out, like nothing. And so I said, oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, you know, it startled me, right? So
it's
I said,
real.
okay. Yeah, so I said, right. So I turned around. And when I did that, I didn't go in the bedroom. I was in the hallway like this, and that's how close he was. I could just touch it like that. So I turn around and I see Sonny and Julio. They're barely exiting the screen door. So I walk out, and it's close. It's I don't know, 20 feet or it was real close. Small apartment. And so when I get to the screen, now there's a bunch of cops there and a bunch of citizens from the civilians, you know, and everybody's like all caught up in the moment and what's going on? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. So, but they're all on, you know, when I walked out of the screen door.
Because you guys didn't investigate any further at that moment, right?
No,
because you're like, okay, we already confirmed that, yes, there's a dead baby. Let's treat it as a crime scene.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to.
And you guys backed up.
Yeah, and so, we backed out of the crime scene. And then, you know, when I got out of the door, it's that sidewalk, then the street. So when I got out of the screen door, I see all these cops that were there because everybody heard the same thing we had, you know. So they all went over there, you know, hey, somebody needs help. An officer needs help, everybody's going to go, right?
Yes. Especially so close to the station.
Yeah. And then as far as detectives, well, the patrol, there were the guys that were working, they were there in that area. They all went, you know. But there was a lot of detectives because we're still there from the earlier homicide.
Murder.
So there was a lot of detectives there. So when I get on the screen door and I get on the sidewalk and I'm seeing all this commotion, and for some reason it hit me again, like, wow. Like, look at all these people. And like, wow. So I didn't go to where our sergeant was there talking with Angela Camacho. Sergeant Mandiki, he was there talking to Angela Camacho. I don't know which other detectives were there at that time, but I know Mandiki was talking to Angela Camacho, and there was a bunch of people there. And I think they had taped it off, and there were citizens around. So I crossed the street just to catch my breath. You know, honestly, I remember crossing the street, and I had already said, okay, we have a homicide, you know, or we have a dead body here. It's a real human being. So, but then when I got outside and I saw that commotion, that made me not be able to go straight to where Camacho was. That made me have to go across the street like where there was nobody. I mean, it was fast. I opened the screen door and like, oh shit, I can't do that. I got to go straight. So I went across the street and I was like, okay. So, okay, calm my breath. I'm talking about 2 or 3 seconds, right?
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
And I was like, hey, boom, this is what we do. It's a homicide. Let's get to work. So I turn around and I'm walking back. It was just a brief thing to catch my breath. And hey, and our crew's here, a whole person, the guys who worked homicides.
Yeah.
They were all there. So, and if they weren't there, they were working. They were somewhere near on duty, right?
Yeah.
And as I turn around, there's a lady that's looking right at me. There was a lot of people there, 30 people, I guess, a bunch of people. And there's this lady, she's looking right at, and I'm still across the street. Tienen más niños, tienen más niños. And she's looking at me. I mean, she's looking at my eyes. Yeah. She's telling me.
Like she's trying to get your attention.
Yeah. So she goes, tienen más niños. They have more kids. So I cross the street, and she's really close to where Camacho is. But that's why I'm thinking there was a tape or something. They were separated maybe by an officer. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So she tells me again, they have more kids. So I turn around and I ask Angela, do you have more kids? And she goes, she goes, ¿tienen más niños? She goes, ahí están. I go,
that's what she said.
Yeah, she goes, ahí están. I go, ¿tienen más niños? ¿Cuántos niños tienen? ¿Dónde? Ahí están. So I tell Sergeant Medica, well, we don't know the condition of these kids. Maybe they're still alive. Maybe we can save them. So now that thing about not contaminating the crime scene, that's out the window. We got to go and make sure that there's a chance that we can save somebody. So we go in a second time. Now it's me and the lead. And I want to say it was Julio Briones and Sergeant Medica, but I don't know which order, but I was in the front. So when I'm walking in the second time, on the floor, right there where I was standing when I touched the baby, on the floor, there was a black, hefty trash bag, a black one. It was shiny, brand new. And the whole apartment's filthy, like super dirty. And, you know, it just goes to show about tunnel vision. You're walking in the first time, you know, not knowing what to expect. We didn't know if they had 3, 4, 5, 10 kids. We didn't know even a grandmother living with. We didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was in the house or suspects, right? So you're going in like this. I never even saw that plastic bag. And I was standing like right next to it when I was doing this.
Yeah.
The second time I said, wow, that bag doesn't belong here because the whole apartment is filthy and the bag is shiny. And you could tell it was round. I said,
Yeah.
it has to be the head. So I open it and it's a head. And I'm thinking, it's the head to that baby, right? Who else's head could it be? That baby's missing a head. I didn't know what else I was going to see. So Julio passes me. And so right on the other side of the doorway, that was like the kitchen area. And the dining room table had been knocked on its side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like kind of blocking. So Julio, I was going to go inside the room and Julio's going to go. He passes me and he jumps over the table. And I'm hearing him that he's saying, I got some blood over here. I got some buckets with water and whatever he was saying. But I go into the room and the bed's right against the wall. And it's all the way to the end. The bed's like that. It doesn't have a headboard. It's just in that corner. When you walk in, it was in this corner. On the other side of the bed, there was a dresser and there was a pile of clothes. I'm talking about 4 feet high of clothes. Like, who does it? You take off your clothes and you just throw it there. But it was like from the wall, I mean, almost the whole length of the room, just a pile of clothes.
Yeah.
And it was all dirty, all the clothes. And at the end of that pile, it was weird because you're going to be piling clothes. Eventually, it's going to pile up against the wall over there. Mm-hmm. There was a gap, and there was a crib over there. And I said, why is there an opening there? Like, any messy person you're going to throw in, it's going to fill all the way to the end. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, I had work cases, where, there's, people can be hiding under a pile of clothes, but it didn't look disturbed like somebody had been in there. It was just like compacted, So I start crawling on top of this amount of clothes. I'm crawling to the end, and let me backtrack a little bit. On the bed, the second time that I went in, brought the orange box, the hefty box of trash bags, brand new, orange. Yeah. It was in the bed. And the first time I went in there, I didn't see it. So I said, man, they bought these trash bags for this.
Yeah.
So I'm crawling on this mountain of clothes. I'm crawling on top of it. And then, so when I get to the edge of it, it's like straight. It's not going down like that. It's just like you get to, and it was straight. There was a crib there. And, there's a trash bag that I couldn't even see from over here. You had to get to the end of that mountain of clothes. So the trash bag is leaning against that wall of clothes, and it's not tilted to the side, this way or that way.
Almost like standing up, or what?
It was standing up, but it was leaning like if I'm gonna lean on
against the pile of clothes. Yeah.
It was just leaning this way, but it was straight up. So I'm on my hands and knees, and I get there, and like, oh man, I already know. That's what the trash bags were for. I didn't know how many kids they had, so I didn't know what I was going to see or what was going to be in there, but I knew there was something in there. Mm-hmm. So I opened the bag, and the 2 baby girls were in there. That part, I didn't know they had 2 little girls or how many more kids they had, Even after that, I still didn't know. What about if they had 4, But I opened it, and the older baby girl, Julissa, she was 3. She's the one she's sitting down and her legs are crossed, like Indian style, her legs. Mm-hmm. And she's resting up against this wall of clothes, and her head's not there. It's missing. But on her cut, there was blood. It was bloody and jagged. So when I'm looking in, she's sitting like this. It's like if I'm looking like this. So I'm seeing here. So down here where her legs are crossed, the infant, who's Mary Jane, she was just a few months old. She's laying face down, and she was so small that she fit inside the bag. The bag's not real wide, they're 2 feet maybe, or whatever, wide. So the little baby girl, Mary Jane, was laying down, face down, and her neck was in the crotch area of where Julissa's legs were crossed. And there was a head there, but it was a big head with long hair. I said, that head does not belong to that baby. It was Julissa's head. So the baby was there. Julissa's head was there. I don't know where Mary Jane's head was, but at that point, they're dead. Yeah. So I'm not going to be going digging in, Yeah. There's no need for it. So that was you go to, we were talking about earlier about all the different scenes that you see and some of the stuff that freaks you out. I had seen a 2-year-old boy that had been murdered, that had been strangulated and raped. And, I really didn't want to talk about this case because that family's still here. And
the other one with the
2-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But that anybody that hears any details of that case, they're gonna know. Oh, she's talking about this case. So, but that little boy had been raped and killed, and so that was a tough one. He was like assaulted, but I had never seen this. Even the guy with his skin stayed in the car, eyes hanging out, just hanging like that. I've seen a lot of this, but I never seen that, especially since they were kids. And that just
it's one of those images, like we were saying. It gets engraved in your.
I can see it. I can see it right now
in your brain, man. It's you'll never forget that.
That wasn't good. It was not good.
So now you have a triple homicide, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you guys do after? I mean,
okay. So and then telling you that's where I could hear Julio Briones saying that I got whatever kind of evidence. I remember him saying that he saw blood, the buckets. What they ended up doing later on, I can tell you that when they were cutting up these babies, they were putting them in the buckets to wash them off and that kind of stuff.
Where was the head of the other girl?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know if I ever learned or I just don't remember or what. But I always just assumed it was inside the bag. I never, dug in there. Once I saw that,
you didn't tamper with it. You just left it alone.
Yeah.
You already knew that the two bodies of the little girls were there, and the baby was on the bed.
And I'm telling you, Big John and Manny, Julio wasn't crime scene at the time. He was with us. So I think it was just Manny and Julio and Big John. They were our crime scene investigators. I know DPS went for a little bit initially.
Rangers or what?
Their crime scene. Their crime scene.
Oh, their crime scene.
Yeah. And but Manny and Big John, they're the ones that processed. They stayed in that place forever. So I mean, I don't know where Mary Jane's head was, but I'm assuming it was in there. But so what do we do afterwards? Okay, so we back out, and somehow or other somebody confirmed, they only have 3 kids. Okay, so there's no other kids that we have to be looking for. And so the crime scene is secured. Like nobody else is going to go. Even at that point, I think they told Julio, hey, just back out. Just there's no reason for us to be here. We're just going to get a search warrant, and let crime scene take over. So when we get out, Sergeant Medica says, hey, I don't know if, Detective Clipper, Thomas Clipper, and Sammy Lucio, I'm not sure if they were there or if he was talking to them on the radio or whatever, but Sergeant Medica gave the order that Thomas Clipper was going to be the lead investigator and that he wanted Sam Lucio to assist him. He wanted them to take or to interview John Allen Rufio. And he tells me, I want you to interview Angela Camacho, and I'll get somebody else to help you. So, okay, get in the car. By now, there's a lot of cops there, so everybody else...
Taking back to the station?
Yeah. And other cops are securing the area, and they stay there, And I think they were, our Texas Ranger that was working at that time, Rolando Castañeda, he was there. So he's probably the one that would make the phone calls. Hey, get our crime scene guys out here.
Got it.
Do that kind of stuff,
A lot of resources.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I wasn't there for that, but I know he was. I've seen pictures of him there. And I know him. He would do that. He would, hey, what do you need? What do you need? And he'll make it happen as far as what DPS has to provide.
Yeah.
So I get to the station, and I don't see John. He's in the room. And as far as I know, Clipper and Sammy are interviewing him. I'm in the room with Angela and Detective Lee Garcia. He was a new detective. That night, I think, he told me a story. I don't remember exactly how it went, but I don't know if it was, I think it for sure was his first night shift by himself. And he was I don't know how long he'd been a detective, but because I think he worked property crimes. I'm not sure how long he'd been there, but I know he was a young detective. Good guy. But I remember him telling me, he goes, man, thank God you guys were here, because if you wouldn't have been here, I would have had to do the initial stuff of this by myself. And what the heck? How am I going to, what would I have done? He was laughing about it. He goes, man, that's weird, because there's no way. Like, I would have just call the sergeant and get everybody in. But since we're all there, everything happened really quick. So everything was taken care of. So he ended up helping me on the interview with Camacho, with Angela. So then that's a whole nother story.
Because, and that's what I was going to tell you, man. It's like, it's already a horrible murder case with children that have been decapitated. But you guys have no clue that you guys are about to find out even more horrific details, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a whole different chapter. You know, this part about going in, not knowing what to expect, and then being exposed to it and all that, you know, trauma that the initial guys went through. When you see it afterwards, when the guys go in, they already know there's 3 babies, there's 2 in the bag, there's 1 in the bed. So they're going to go in, they're going to see it. Not to take anything away from them because it's still traumatizing, you know, it's emotional. But the first ones that went in there, you don't know. And so that was like, it freaks you out. Yeah. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to say it scares you because it didn't scare me, but it just, what the heck, it throws you for a loop. So the second part of the investigation is, of course, there's another part, the crime scene, the evidence and all that, but the other part about interviewing them, that's a whole different thing. And then so I'm talking to her, and she just starts, you know, confessing.
Right off the back.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take long. Yeah, you talk to them for a little bit, you know, make them feel comfortable. And, you know, especially if they're going to start telling you, you know, gruesome details. This part was always real weird. And, you know, when I would think about it, not just this case, any case when a person would confess to something pretty graphic, you know, if they tell you, hey, you know, this is what I did and this is how I did it, and you go like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? What? Even a facial expression, they're going to shut down. Yeah. They're going to shut down. You have to be like, okay, I get you. I can see, you know, whatever. Okay, so then what happened? And then, okay, so you're, okay, you know, but you
have to show a little bit of empathy to keep him going.
Yeah, and or interest at least.
Or interesting, yeah.
And so, okay, so then what happened, you know, so then they, not just Angela, but a lot of cases that I work on, they see that, they start reliving, they start getting excited about it. Like, man, you know, then this happened. You should have seen the way this happened.
Was that the case with Angela Camacho? Yeah. What happened with, like, how did
she? Well, initially she starts telling me that, and I don't know if this was a planned story that her and her husband came up with. It looks like they did. Because they both kind of said the same thing initially, you know. And they were talking about how the babies were possessed. They were seeing the babies, you know, making weird noises and like sounds like the devil. And at one point, the sounds of dead relatives, laughing, that the babies were possessed. And they came to the conclusion or the decision that the only way to rid them of this demons was to kill them. And so that was her story, their initial story. But when as far as the physical thing, not the motive, the actual killings of what Angela was telling me, and where you could tell she was getting excited. Like, you know, I don't really say this story like I haven't said it like 100 times. You know, sometimes I talk about it, but this part is always the same. Because this is the part that it just, I couldn't understand it. Like even if a serial killer where they're, you know, psychotic or whatever, and they're reliving it and they're getting the same pleasure out of the actual murder when they relive it, you know, they're reliving it, and that's why they keep pictures. That's why they keep
trophies.
Yeah, trophies to relive it, and they get the same excitement, you know, whether it's sexual or whatever it is, you know. But they relive it. So this is, how could she relive and have any kind of pride over it? She should have been like, I can't believe I did this, you know. But this is the thing that I always say, as far as that interview, the part that freaked me out was when she became very animated and telling me about how strong her son was, man. No se dejaba, mijito. Estaba bien fuerte, mijito. Lo estaba teniendo y no se dejaba. My son was so strong, and I was holding him down, and he was fighting, man. Like, she was proud. Man, my son was so strong. You should have seen it. And I was holding him, and he wouldn't let himself. He was really strong. She was making it seem like she was proud of him, that he was a good fighter, or he was a strong little boy. And I'm like, at that point, you should have been like, what the hell's wrong with you? But of course, I couldn't do that. I could be okay. So, you know, not that drastic, but okay. So then what happened? So then she goes on to the next.
Oh man.
Yeah, but
she said it like that.
Exactly like that. Exactly like that. I'll never forget that. Mi hijo estaba bien fuerte, no se deja. She's looking at me like she's, no se dejaba, mi hijito está bien fuerte, lo estaba teniendo y no se dejaba. She said that the knife that John Lanroyo was using, that it broke. My son was so strong, the knife broke, so I had to go get another one. And I gave it to John y lo estaba deteniendo, mi hijito. Man, está bien fuerte, mi hijito, like that.
Man, like
crazy.
No remorse or any type of emotion for her son, man.
She was.
I mean, it was like pride, but in an evil way, I guess.
Yeah, that's the only that. And as far as psychology, and I'm not an expert, but as far as psychology, to me, that's the only way she could. And I'm
go over
not
murdering his own
not
children.
Justifying it, but like making it like some aspect of it okay. Like, man, my son was really strong. Which has nothing to do with anything, but that's the only thing that she could come up with in her brain at that time, And of course, Clipper would come.
Man, that's horrible, man.
Yeah. Clipper would come over and say, "Hey, what do you got? What's going on?" Then he'd go back over there with John Lanroyo. I think there might have been another detective helping Sammy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Clipper would go back and forth, like, "Hey, what did she tell you?" Then he'd go and confront him, or tell me, "Hey, man, ask her about this because this guy's saying this." And so he was kind of going back and forth. But that initial statement was it was typed. That's the way we used to do it in those days.
Yeah,
videotaping had just started, or audio taping, and they actually ended up doing that with John Allen, and I think Angela also. That night after I took that, and I think it was at least 2 pages, maybe 3 pages. I don't know. I would type it, and she would, as she was telling me, I was typing, and then like in this case that she didn't. I think she spoke English. I was gonna she didn't speak English, but let's say it's a person that doesn't read English.
Yeah.
So what we do is like we type it, and then I tell her, okay, look, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get somebody that hasn't been listening to us. They don't know anything about what we're saying. They're gonna translate it to you. If it's the way you're telling me and that's what's written, we're good. If there's any changes, then we'll change it. So another guy would come that has no knowledge of the interview, and that's how her or anybody else would be like, okay, he typed what I told him because that's what this guy's telling me. That's how we would do it. So after that night, and now we're talking about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. We didn't just come in and just start doing, there's a lot of things and strategizing and a lot of things that were going on. So
because people that are listening, man, they don't understand that sometimes you get a confession right away.
Oh yeah.
But then in order to make that case better, you have to get details from them. Yeah. That's why people sometimes don't understand why they already did confess to killing them, the children know. But now you need to get the whole story so you can be consistent, with their statement. That way, when you go to trial, man, I mean, everything that they're saying, and you can prove it with evidence and with witnesses and all that stuff, then you make that case stronger.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot that goes to it. And
so you're going to be back and forth between them, like, he said this, that's I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
So what's the story from John and Rubio? Or
he's saying all about the
same
demons.
thing?
Yeah, about the demons and stuff. But later, the investigation showed that, there was a lot of things that were going on. Financial stuff, they were getting ready to be evicted. The government aid that they were getting for one of the babies was going to be taken away. CPS had already investigated them once.
Yeah.
The CPS were going to, I think that they were getting ready to take the babies again or take them away. And so they're losing their babies. They don't have any more, food stamps or whatever aid they were getting. They're going to lose the baby. They're going to get evicted. And so, so in their mind, that they just said, hey, you know what? Let's just start off fresh. Damn. Let's get rid of the babies and start fresh. So they were going to, get rid of the babies, kill them, and go and bury them at the cemetery close by and go live in Matamoros.
So there was a plan then.
Yeah, there was a plan
to go across.
Yeah, and I'm saying that from conversations that I had with the detective, if I remember correctly.
That's what I was going to ask you too, Chris, because was there a part of the confession or on the interview with Jonathan Rubio that it's almost the equivalent of what
Initially,
Angela Camacho said about like, oh, like my son was
that part,
was
no.
like, did he say any statements like that you were like, man,
no.
what is going on with this guy?
Yeah, that John's initial statement, I might have read it, but I just don't remember,
Yeah.
Because what ended up happening was that after that night, and I did my report for everything that I did, which I may have finished. I doubt if I finished that night, but for sure I finished it the next day.
The next day
of everything that happened, everything from the beginning to the end of my last contact with Angela, and then after that, the first case, I had to finish that. So Sammy and Clipper, they took over this case 100% on their own with the help of whoever else they needed. And so I was not in this case. After that first night, I didn't touch this case at all, ever again, because I was working the first case as far as tying up loose ends, and to get it ready for, submission for the indictment and all that stuff. Yeah. I still had to go. We got the fire department to go and the divers to go and look for a gun and a resaca. I mean, there's a lot of other things that had to be done. So I didn't even touch this case anymore. I went to another case. Yeah. The next day, I finished the one.
You did what we call, your supplement for that night to support the investigation of the lead investigators, and then
after that,
you go back to your case.
I was working the case from the earlier in the day.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing, because I can see it in my mind. So I just don't know if I saw the whole video, because I ended up taking videos. If I read statements or heard the audios, I just have some kind of memory that, of stuff that he was saying and of what the detectives, me and Sam used to sit next to each other, Yeah. So I know we had conversations. So, but I don't remember hearing anything about him describing the actual killings.
Some kind of evil statement or anything that he might have said during the interview.
Yeah. He was saying stuff that like the babies were possessed, and they had, I think, hamsters or something like that, and the hamsters were making noises, and so he killed them and just stuff like that.
So I did a little Google search actually this morning, because I was like, man, you know what? And I'll be honest, I do not know a lot about this case, well, until now that you're telling me about all this. But so I did a little Google search, and I found like an affidavit from the Court of Appeals, because I guess throughout the years this guy was appealing his conviction and all that. So on some of the details that are there, he talks about like, man, they were possessed, the kids, so we had to kill him and all that. But it says something that after they kill and decapitated the children, he made her have sex with the boy.
Oh no. They had sex with each other.
Yeah.
They took a shower and then went to have sex.
Okay.
And I think that they actually, I'm sorry, I think they had did that after the two girls were killed. And then they took a shower, had sex, and then they killed the last one, which I'm thinking was the boy. Something like that. But yeah, they did.
Something horrific, man, that I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, something stupid like that. They want to say that they're insane, that they're crazy. It's I don't want to use the word crazy, but it's crazy that they would do that.
No.
But they're not insane. They're not insane.
No.
I worked at the county jail for a year and 3 months before. I worked with Brown CBD. And let me go even further back to some of my exposure when I was a little kid. My mom was a registered nurse. And at some point in her career, she ended up in San Antonio, and I was little. And I went, I don't remember because I was really little, but I know we lived, I want to say it was San Antonio, I'm pretty sure it was. And she was working at a state hospital for mental patients. So I went in there and I saw people that are lost. At an early age, I saw people that were insane, completely out of their minds. Yeah. I know what an insane person looks like. At the county jail, we would have inmates that were in like a single cell.
The padded cell and stuff like that.
You walk by to do your rounds,
Yeah, your rounds.
And you see all these prisoners are living the life that they live, normal, watch TV, fighting, whatever they're doing, but they're living their life. And then you walk by these guys and they have a bowl eating their feces. Like, hey, what's up with this? Like nothing. Like that's out of your mind.
Yes.
And or maybe they want to say Ortiz, but they just look at you like, hey, like, what are you doing? And they're eating feces, drinking urine. Like, I know what an insane person looks like. These are not, they typed up the wall. This guy.
It's like they say, like the crazy person doesn't know he's crazy.
Yeah.
He just acts.
Yeah,
he's not gonna be saying, "Oh, sir, it's because I'm crazy." No,
I guarantee you.
If
I don't know if you ever saw this video of, I don't know where it was. I don't know. I don't even know it was in Texas, but there was a guy that was some interstate, a highway, and I want to say he was on some kind of drugs or something. But he was eating another guy. They're eating him like an animal.
Oh, yes. This is when one of those new drugs, those synthetic drugs, were getting popular. They're like a zombie.
So the cops get there and he's still eating it. He didn't know.
Yeah,
he didn't know. I guarantee you that, and there's people like that they could be doing something like way out there, and 10 cops will see him, and they turn around and just keep on doing it because he doesn't know he's doing something wrong. These people, they had tape there on the back door. They had nailed it shut. And they had put duct tape around the seams, the edges of the door for the smell, I'm guessing. They were preparing to leave.
They were preparing for
this. They had even cleaned with bleach, and then they were putting the babies in the plastic bags. A crazy person, an insane person is not going to take that,
Just that, the fact that they went to the store to buy contractor, those black trash bags, right? That's the intent, man. That's the premeditated, right? They have a plan.
Yeah.
They know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then, like you're saying, they probably seal that for the smell because that way they can be, farther away, I guess, or across the border.
I don't know if they bought all the stuff before the murders, but even so, even after the murders, like, hey, they realized it is. If they hadn't realized it is something wrong, they wouldn't have gone to all that effort to cover it up.
Yeah.
They knew they did something wrong.
Yeah.
So that's. There's no way around it, Unfortunately, anybody gets.
Oh, you know what? Some of the other details that I remember from that affidavit that I found online, it said that they washed the bodies after they got decapitated, man.
Yeah, for sure, the boy, because that's what I'm telling you. But that's why his legs were bent up because they had him in the bucket, those 5-gallon buckets, and so they had him in there, and his leg. I'm assuming his legs were up.
Yeah.
So when the rigor mortis set in, his legs
stayed like that.
So when he's laying on his back, his little legs were bent like that towards his chest. It was because he was in the bucket. So they were, and you could, that they found that there was bleach all over the place.
Man, that case, man. I mean, like I said, it happened during my military years with the Marine Corps. So I don't know much about it until I guess the appeal. I know he had a retrial and then he was found guilty again, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that affected Brownsville for a long time, man.
Yeah, it did. Like I was saying a while ago, that I have a lot of friends that are not law enforcement, or we get together, have barbecues or watch a football game, whatever, you start talking. And throughout the years, when I have had this conversation with a few people, they tell me, I remember that guy from this, or I remember that from there, or whatever, or they're curious, how could, so, but everybody in their own way, just by hearing about it, and in these conversations that I've had with them, you could tell that they were affected back then. Like the way they're, I remember hearing about that. Oh yeah. So I guess it takes you back to, it takes them back to that time when they were hearing about it. I'm assuming, I guess, I don't know. And even if they haven't, I can't think, I mean, it's going to be rare if there's somebody in Brownsville that hasn't heard about this case.
Yeah, I know, man.
Everybody's heard about it,
Man, all over the country, man. Like that case was everywhere, man, I think. Now, how do you go home after that night back to your house, man?
I was going back to the 2-year little boy. My son at that time was 2. Back, not during this case, but your other case.
The other case, yeah.
And we worked, a couple of days without stopping. And man, I would just go home and hug my son, like, man, please, God, just take care of my son. Please don't ever let anything happen to him, So the question you're asking me now is like, of course, by that time my kids were older, and I was divorced. They didn't live with me. Um, but I remember a few days afterwards, I was reading the newspaper. Back before you had all the internet stuff, I was reading the newspaper, and I saw that they're going to have funeral services for the babies. And I remember telling myself, man, you know what? You got to go over there. You got to go and see those kids, because I didn't want my last memory to be that. I didn't want that to be the looking inside the neck and the other baby, and then the baby on the bed. Because I didn't know if next week, next month, next year, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, I'm gonna fucking freak out, because it could happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes I want to say I'm good. I know that for sure I have PTSD, and it's not just because of this case. There's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But this definitely didn't help. But so I went because I didn't want that to be my last memory. And man, I went and talked to the director of the funeral home, and there's not a lot of people there, just a few people. I talked to the funeral director, and I said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is why I'm here, and I really feel like I need to see those kids." He felt me. He goes, "Yeah, you're probably right." So he went to go talk to some family members. I don't know who was there, and they stepped out. And so he goes, "Yeah, come on in." So I went in there, and man, they did an awesome job on them, bro. You could see bruises on them, but they did an awesome job on those kids. We all hear it. People say, "Oh man, my kid is so pretty," and sometimes they're not. But these kids were really pretty. They were like, to me, they look good.
They let you open the
caskets were open.
Yeah? Oh,
they had like the little girls that had a dress. All of them had their clothes up to their neck, so you couldn't see that. And I'm assuming they had stitched them together, but all the injuries were covered. The only thing you could see was a little bit of bruising here and there. Yeah. But man, and they were just there laying in, all dressed up with their hair combed, peaceful, and they looked really pretty. To me, they look really pretty, man.
Man, because you had seen the worst of the worst,
and
man.
that's exactly what I was hoping for. I said, man, that this would be my last memory, not the first time I saw them. And I did good.
Yeah.
Those cases, the one from the earlier in the day and the trip homicide, it was weird because they both went to trial a year later during the same week. And so I was running to this courtroom and this courtroom, running and testifying in both of them. And so on the Rubio case, they had me read the statement that I typed out. And so I was reading it, and I had been good all year. I had worked more homicides, seen more dead bodies, didn't live my life, watch football, whatever I was doing,
Yeah.
And I was good. When I was reading the statement, I was reading and reading and reading, and all of a sudden, I don't even know what point in the statement that I got to. Man, like I got this massive lump in my throat, like I couldn't even breathe. In the middle of a word, it seemed like, and like even right now, it's exactly what happened in the trial. Exactly like that. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's there.
Because you go back to see them on their coffins?
Yes. No, not in the coffin, just the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was reading the statement that happened. Can we take a break? Wait, no, just...
Yeah, man. Let's take a pause.
So, when I was reading the statement that happened, man, some people would say that, man, that was perfect for the jury to see that. That wasn't my intent. That was not my intent. That's not my intent right now. I don't believe me. There's a detective that he swears that he's struggling with it, and he told me, I'm not going to say his name, because I'll never do anything, recordings and stuff like that, Because if I ever break down, then that motherfucker's going to see me crying. And I don't want him to see that has any power over me. I don't want that fucker to see me like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty good. And that's why he never talks. Because he doesn't want to give John El Arroyo any power over him. In his mind, he's thinking that. And, he's an ex-Marine.
Yeah.
He's told me stories of, shit that he went through before he became a cop.
Yeah.
Like, bad stuff, And so, yeah, he's got PTSD,
Yeah. That's why I asked you, Chris, and it wasn't just to put you in that spot. Like, honestly, man, I just, because I've been there in that feeling, man. Where I don't know, like, it's not normal to see all this death, but especially with children. In the case that I want to tell you about is with a little girl. She wasn't killed, but she was sexually assaulted.
Oh man, I worked a case like that.
And
bad.
And man, I'm thinking about her right now, and it just because of what she told the mom. Like she was trying to be strong for the mom, dude. Like 7 years old and trying to be strong to because she was seeing her mom sad about what happened to her. So
she was trying to comfort her mother.
Yes.
And she was a victim.
Yes. 7 years old, man, trying to tell her mom, I'm good, mom. I'm a different person. She wanted her hair to be cut to show that she was going to be strong for her. Dude, that broke me, man.
Yeah.
And she, during the interview with the mom, she actually saw it. She was like, "Sir, le está afectando el caso de mi hija?" And I was like, No. Let's keep going. I tried to play it out, but she knew.
Yeah.
Yes, she saw. It happens, man.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way, what you did in the long run, I guess it helps out because, like you're saying, you don't want that last memory to be them in a trash bag.
Yeah.
I know it's weird because that image is still there, but in a way, the mind goes back at least to be like, okay, a little bit of closure.
Yeah.
And they had a decent, like, normal funeral service, since the persons that are supposed to protect them the most were the one that murdered them, But at least some other family member can have that peace of knowing that, that I guess they were back together and to have a decent burial.
As far as I could tell, the only family that those kids probably had, because it wasn't even the grandmother, because she was, I don't want to say bad words to her or about her, but
a prostitute, no? The mom of John Allen Rubio was a prostitute.
She was worthless.
Yeah.
She was worthless. I would see her drunk and drinking afterwards like nothing, And but the brother, John's brother, that's why if John's brother wouldn't have gone to visit, we might have never found the kids. But John's brother went to go and visit his brother and his nephew and his nieces. And he was with I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend. They went to go and visit, John and the family. And when they get there, John says, "Hey, bro, right now is not a good time." And those kids, I'm assuming they were rambunctious. They were little, 3-year-old, a little over a year and, a couple of months. But I can see them that they'd be, running around, being kids, And so when the brother, got there and John says, "Hey, bro, right now is not a good time." He goes, "What are you talking about?" Like, "No, it's not a good time." He could see, because it was a screen door, he could see Angela sitting on the sofa. And he noticed, how come the kids aren't running around screaming, being the way they always are? And he goes, what's going on? Where are the kids? So he's the one that went into the room and saw
what happened,
the baby boy in the bed. So when he came out, he asked John, "What the hell did you do? What's wrong with you? What did you do?" So that's when he didn't have a cell phone. And so they were running to the PD. It's close by. It's a few blocks away. Him and the girl, I don't know if it's his wife or girlfriend, they were running to the PD to go and tell somebody what they had seen. That's when they see Sonny Cervantes driving by and they flagged him down. But the reason I bring that up is because, see, they went to go visit their family. That guy went to go and visit his brother, his sister-in-law, his nieces and his nephew. He went to go and visit him. And in my mind, I think he's the only one that ever went to go and visit him. All the other people that were
Didn't care.
To me, I've never heard a story of these people, John and Angela, taking the kids to go and visit.
No other family member was there, to show a little kind of like
in the funeral where I went to the funeral home. There was people there, so not to put him down, but I don't think they were close. But this guy, the brother, I think he was because he went to go visit him.
Yeah, he was.
Even if it was the only
one.
time he'd visit him, at least he went to go visit him while they were alive. You know.
Yeah.
So the other people, I don't know. I don't want to say they never visited him because I don't know. But I've never heard any stories of where John would. And they got into when they did their interviews, they got into their history and stuff like that. Where you go to school, how do you live your life, and there's nothing about we used to go and barbecue with this person, my uncle, whatever, or aunt, whatever. None of that. And I think these people just since John and Angela and his mother, they were living a life that was all messed up, just messed up.
Yeah.
And so I think people just kind of stayed away from them.
Wow.
Their lives were not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's no excuse, but some people have a tough life, man. I bet you he was probably abused and had a rough childhood.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
I'm saying, that guy is completely evil. It doesn't take. I'm not trying to excuse anything. I'm just saying, man. Yeah. We don't know, but man, there's some people out here that have it rough, man.
Yeah.
Imagine grandmas. You don't have a loving grandma in that case. Nobody's probably ever visiting them. I mean, he's the only one.
Yeah. I mean, there's no telling what kind of life these babies would have, lived. But like you said, there's a lot of people that had it hard, and the hard life those kids had was poverty.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I don't know, it's because I didn't hear about it or whatever, but I don't think there was abuse towards them. But the life that I know they did, the part of their life that I know they did live bad was the poverty. They just didn't have resources.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people that have lived, that grew up like that, and even with abuse, and they took it upon themselves to, hey, you know what, I'm going to live a better life.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like that personally.
Yeah.
Personally. That they, it's all up to you.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all up to you, man, because you can use all that, I guess that hard life to use it as motivation for your future, man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to you only, and yes, I do know about a bunch of people that had a childhood like that end up having a good life because they wanted to give a different opportunity to their kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or to themselves also.
Yeah.
Man, something has to be done, man, about assistance or help for cops after retirement or years of service, because I was talking to another friend of mine that was here on the podcast how me as a veteran, like it's way easier for military guys to get help after after their service, after their careers as in the military.
Yeah.
But you don't hear, and maybe there is, but it's not as easy for a cop, for a police officer that after so many years of service to get this the same type of assistance, because obviously there's a mental factor to all this, we all get affected by all this, like I was saying, it's not normal to see all this death in a short amount of time, like it's not normal, man. So obviously all this goes to something, man. And
they offer counseling initially, and it's good. I always said, I don't need that, But from what I've seen, a lot of the stuff kicks in like years later.
Yes,
it doesn't happen at that time,
No, it does.
So I don't know, but this talking about all this stuff, the research says, from experts that talking about it helps or whatever. That's not, necessarily why I'm here. I thought it would be, and I knew eventually we're probably going to talk about that over your case, but there's a lot of other cool stuff, and I don't know if we're getting to the point where we can wrap this up, but that would be cool.
No, I mean, let's try to end it on a good note. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of also cases that bring you a lot of joy, or that are very rewarding, right? That I have, and I try to sometimes focus on that. You know, like where people actually give you thanks, man, sir. I'll be forever grateful for helping me out with this. You know, like. So if you can maybe share one experience like that comes to mind.
There's a lot of those cases because my thing was I used to coach Little League baseball, and I love sports, and this thing with I coach Little League baseball because of my sons. I coached them, and and they were good, and we had good teams and stuff, but I ended up being, because of my personality, like very successful, winning championships, getting selected to the playoffs. And all
Little League, really?
Yeah. But I was just a coach. I wasn't playing. But I could motivate these kids to, man, even if we had not a lot of good players, in their minds, they were all of them.
Yeah.
And so that was part of my motivation to them. But that was my big skill. And I've told people, like, I'll say it right now. Maybe I should. Man, I'll leave that one out. But I'm a good motivator. I can convince people to, hey, you know what, this is the right thing to do if I really want to. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that because now people say, hey, you're fucking with me. I'm not gonna. but in a good way. But in a good way, like, hey, if this is what you should be doing, then I'm gonna tell you, hey, this is what you should be doing. And that's not bullshit. That's the truth. Anyway, so I really enjoyed that part of my life, and I was a detective, and I'd get off of work and fly to the practice field. I would change like a red light, put my shorts on, and then I get there and go, let's go. And I was, my guys are going to run. I'm running with you. We're going to do it. And I was just like, the parents, they want their kids to be on my team. And so I always enjoyed that part of, training these guys and teaching them, like, and they were little kids, but I would tell them, hey, if you think that you're an athlete right now, and in a couple of years, you're going to be, like next year, you're going to be in junior high, and then after that, you're going to be in high school. They're not going to be babying you. We got to get this, So I was kind of trying to get these guys to grow up. And I like that. And I definitely did it with my sons. I definitely, pushed them, But what I wanted to say was that in law enforcement, like during that time when I was working burglaries, a lot of those burglars were juveniles, And so I had a lot of opportunities to talk to these kids. And every time that I had an opportunity, I would talk to them, hey, bro, like, what's going on in your life, man? What are the issues, And then some would say, nah, fuck you. And some would say, well, it's because this. Okay, well, then, So I helped a lot of people. There was this one kid, he was old. I think he was like 16, and he was like in 8th grade or something. And he was a big guy. And so he had assaulted a teacher. I guess this was before BSD police came in. And so I pick him up, and I'm talking to the guy, and so I say, bro, like, what's going on with you? Like, what are your issues? And at first he was like, nah, get the valga madre. Hey, bro, okay, I heard it before. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, but I'm just asking. I'm being honest, Yeah. So I got to him. He goes, man, it's because I don't know how to read, bro. I go, okay. And this fucking teacher, she puts me on the front of everybody, and she wants me to read. She knows I don't know how to read. And she puts me in front of all these stupid fuckers, and she makes me look like an idiot. She knows I don't know how to read, and she does it on purpose. I go, have you told the principal that if she doesn't know and she's doing it to you on purpose, somebody needs to know? I tell the principal, but they don't give a shit. I said, man. Well, anyway, he puts you in the holidays. So I go to Walmart, I don't know where, I got some kind of learning aids, like hooked on phonics type of thing, Yeah. So I go back to his house, and he didn't go to detention center or whatever. He got released. So I go to his house, and I say, hey, bro. He goes like, what are you doing here? I go, bro, I got this for you, man. Merry Christmas. He goes, what is it? I go, dude, just learn how to read. Practice. This will help you. I go, man, if it does help you, and you ever see me in the road somewhere in the future, tell me. And if it doesn't, or you just throw it away, that's your choice. But here it is. He goes like, why are you doing this? Because I care, bro. I always cared about I always tried to help those kids.
Yeah, man.
You know, and there was another kid that I saw him one time years later at the convenience store. Hey, Mr. Ortiz, look, this is my wife, my baby. I'm working over here. And another lady, she's a bus driver for the school district. Every time she saw me, she goes, no, I don't know what you told my son, but he's completely changed.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
And you see, this is a lot of the stories that people don't hear about, man. You know, you know how cops, like, we're all automatically the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, like, it has come like that. You know, like, it is what it is, but that's what it is. People hate us, man.
Yeah.
Like, but they don't hear about these stories, man. You know?
And people, like, a couple, they were at the station. I don't know what the hell they're doing there. And the kid was acting up and, hey, officer, can you regañalo? I go, what's wrong with you? What if he ever does need help? He's not gonna want to ask for help.
Sí, el asústelo.
Yeah.
Asuste a mi hijo para que sepa que no. Like, no.
Yeah. You know,
we don't want to do that. We want him to ask us for help if he needs help, not to be afraid of us.
Yeah. You know, and you know, like, because I have 4 children.
Yeah.
I have 2 boys and my 2 daughters, and they're all older, and they're living their lives. They're, you know, they have their success, and you know, everybody has their struggles, but they're doing good. You know, but I always, especially when they were younger, you know, I would, you know, try to give them, you know, analogies of different things, you know, like, hey, you got to move forward, you know, keep on taking your steps. And, or if they would let me know that they're feeling down or whatever, I try to pick them up. And sometimes even without them asking me, I would still be trying to get in their brain and trying to lift them up. You know, that's our job as parents, right? You know, some days I was more successful than others, but, you know, overall, that was my main objective, to try to be a good father, you know. So then when I dealt with these kids, it was like, I'm not saying they were my kids, but I wanted to help them somehow.
Yeah.
But so this guy, he had polio. And when I was a rookie cop, I would see him, he'd be walking in downtown with a basket, limping and stuff. And his basket was full of stuff. He was a homeless guy.
Yeah.
He was always dirty and stuff. And so he had a real bad attitude. He was bitter. And he hated cops, you know, but he was just pissed off at life, and he didn't get a good deck. You know, he wasn't dealt a good hand.
Yeah,
and but it was nobody's fault, you know, including his. But he was very bitter, and you'd walk by and shoot the finger at you, and you drive by, he shoot the finger at you, or cussed at you, or whatever. Well, one day I was a rookie cop, and we had a big freeze. So I was working the morning shift. We were in roll call, and the supervisor says, hey, man, this water lines are breaking. It's freezing outside. And the city opened up a shelter here and here. One was at the Civic Center. So if you see, you know, your local people that are on the street or whatever, if they need help, let them know. So I get out of roll call, and of course, man, I'm like, and that's what I would do all the time. When I get a roll call, I go straight to all my hot spots. And okay. And I would see guys, like, let's say they're partying. Okay, I know you're partying and you're not partying. And now I'm going to go back. But I would have, you know,
you already know where they're at. Yeah.
So I was going down in the Market Square in the alley, you know, the green dumpsters. And in between the dumpsters, there was a pile of cardboard. And as I was driving by, I saw the cardboard move. Like, what the heck? Like, I knew, is there somebody in there or what? So I get off and I pick it up, and it's that guy, the polio guy, the homeless guy. He's freezing. He had been sleeping there all night long. He was freezing. Damn. He's like freezing, urinated on himself.
Yeah.
You know, had feet covered in feces, defecated on himself. And I said, man, this guy's like, he looked at me like, oh, like he was freezing to death.
Yeah.
And now I have always said, how stupid. Why don't I just call EMS and let him come? It was a medical call.
Yeah.
But me, I was a rookie. Like, I didn't know anything. I'm thinking the shelters, you know, let's get this guy some help. So I pick him up. He's full of poop and stuff, right? I pick him up and I throw him in the back seat, and I tell dispatch, yeah, I'm going with this guy to the Civic Center. Yeah. So I get over there and I tell some guys, hey, man, help me out with this guy. We take him, they have showers, take off all his clothes, and they put the manguera, they start washing him. He's on the floor. So I said, I'll be right back. So I go downtown, they have the secondhand, the youth clothing. I get this guy some shoes, some thick socks, some underwears, pants, shirts, jackets, beanie hat, gloves, everything. I got him everything. And I go back and I say, here, bro, like, here's some stuff. I'll see you later. I'm taking off. Never saw that guy again. I never saw him in the street again. Years passed, and I ended up with an injury. I had broken my shoulder. So I'm going to a therapist, and when I go in there, there's a bunch of patients, and I see this guy, the polio guy, clean as could be. His complexion is healthy, his hair is combed, and he's the life of the party. I mean, all the therapists, he got everybody laughing. He's the life of the party. And I'm there doing my therapy, watching this guy like, what the hell happened to this guy? Like, what happened to him?
Used to be the opposite, yeah.
And he I know he saw me,
but
I never talked to him. I didn't want to say, hey, man, embarrass him, whatever. So one night, and I'd been going for therapy for, I guess, about a week. And so I'm on site waiting. I was going to get picked up. So I was waiting for my ride, and this guy wheels the patient out. He wheels him in a wheelchair. He goes, hey, you going to be here for a while? I go, yeah. He goes, can you watch him for a little bit? I need to go in, but they're going to come pick him up right now. I said, okay. So now it's nighttime. It's just me and him. And so I said, hey, bro, do you remember me? And he goes, yeah, you're the one that saved my life.
No way.
Yeah. I said, what? He goes, dude, you're the one that saved my life. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you carried me, took me over there. Man, after that, the people over there started making phone calls, and this big wheel started spinning. So I started getting help. I have housing. The car was coming. Look, that's my car. There's a driver. I got housing. I got, the food, help with the food. I don't know, food stamps, whatever. But he got housing, food stamps, providers, all kinds of stuff. He goes, I'm here, and it's all because of that day when you took me there. And other people, they picked up where you left off, and they started making all these phone calls and got him all this assistance. He goes, I'm gold, man. I'm living a good life. But it was that day when you picked me up in the alley.
So he didn't forget.
I was like, man, if I never solve another case in my life, I can retire right now. That night when he told me that, I remember thinking, I was like, wow, you know what? I can retire. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can retire right now and feel like I did something good, So yeah, there's a lot of good. That's
stories. A great story, man.
That is.
That's a great story, man. Maybe we should end it right there, man. And that's what I tell people. Man, dude, always, man, like yes, you always have to be in this job, right? You have to be in the defensive all the time. You gotta treat like this job as it is. It's a serious job. You can lose your life in a moment, right? Yeah. But at the same time, man, remember the reason why you joined to be a police officer. Because maybe throughout the years that feeling gets lost. But if you go back to the beginning, every single one of us share the same thing, is to help people.
Yeah.
So I said, man, go back to that, man. Tap a little bit to that, and when you truly feel that you can help someone, do it, man.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna reward you. And this is me learning from experience, right? Like after the years, I'm like, dude, this is the most rewarding. This is the only way you can survive, by doing good. And remembering what was the original reason that you joined.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear a story like that.
Yeah, and it's rewarding. And I was having a conversation with one of my sons the other day, and he's a sergeant at the county jail, and we're talking, and I go, hey, it's an honorable job. That's an honorable job, but all of my children, they're like in education. Except him, he's at the jail, right? He's a sergeant there, and there's no telling what he's going to end up doing. But the education, it's an honorable job, It
is.
One of my daughters a counselor. My son, he's a teacher, teaches sports, and my other daughter, she's got 2 black belts, and she teaches also.
Wow.
so like I said, do something that honorable.
Yeah.
To me, that's good. You might not be rich.
Yeah.
But if it's something honorable, that's something that you can be proud of.
Yeah. All right, Cris. Well, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and thank you, de verdad. Thank you for sharing those stories and those experiences from your career.
It was good. It was fun.
All right, man. We'll do it again. All right, man. Thank you.